Hello, my friends. It's Sunday, September 15th, and this is your Ukraine war news for today. It is the Daily Brief. 1,170 Russians off the battlefield, 6 tanks, 20 armored fighting vehicles, 23 artillery systems, 53 vehicles and fuel tanks. It's about what it normally is. Nothing really significant, nothing really low or high. Okay, here are the losses Andrew Perpetua could identify for yesterday, but this is about 2-1, something like that. And yet another Russian strike on a residential building in Kharkiv. At least 30 people are injured. I'm not going to actually show video of this, but they're walking a older lady away from the building here, and the building's, not doing well. Anyone who says that a strike on Russian military infrastructure inside Russia will not change anything should come and live in Kharkiv for some time. Russia will continue striking Kharkiv just because it can. It will only stop when it doesn't have this opportunity anymore, and I think that's a very fair statement. Forbidding long-range weapons inside Russia means that the number of victims among civilians in Kharkiv will continue to increase. And that's just the unfortunate reality when you're dealing with Russia. Overnight, Russians poured cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, and Iranian Shahed drones into residential areas of Odessa with cluster munitions. Residential areas of Odessa. Okay, here's the actual Kyiv Post article. It says a married couple born in 1958 and 1962 died in the suburbs of Odessa following a Russian missile attack, reportedly involving banned cluster warheads. Ukraine's Air Force announced on Telegram that air defense forces intercepted Kh-59 missile and 10 Shahed drones. This was all going toward Odessa. Russian forces fired the Kh-59 guided air missile from the temporarily occupied Zaporizhzhia region, along with 14 kamikaze drones from Russian Kursk and occupied Crimea. Additionally, Odessa was struck by 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles fired from occupied Crimea. So, great. So they're attacking civilian suburbs in Odessa. Okay. Institute for the Study of War. Ukrainian forces continue to advance in Glushkovsky and reportedly continue to advance north of Sudzha. Russian forces continued counterattacking throughout the salient on September 14th and recently regained territory southeast of Korenevo, southeast of Sudzha. Okay, there are 2 different places here. So the Ukrainians are making some advances up north and east in this area, and the Russians are pushing down into this red area in the salient, as well as this little tiny area down here that's also turned red. So that's where they are right now. So we're going to look at both what's going on in Kursk as well as what's going on around Voldahar and Pokrovsk. This is the British intelligence update. Russia has continued high tempo of offensive operations across multiple areas of the front line. How long that'll last is basically weather driven. At this point, it is September 15th. They should hit the first frost anytime. After that, it's going to start to get cooler, mud season, winter. Okay, in Russia's Kursk Oblast, where Ukraine has maintained control of approximately 800 to 900 square kilometers of territory since mid-August 2024, Russian forces have begun counteroffensive spearheaded by airborne and naval infantry units. Russian forces have attacked Ukrainian positions in the west of the salient and have likely retaken several villages. We just talked about that part. Now, in eastern Ukraine, Russian forces have made gradual advances around Voldahar and to the southeast of the logistic hub of Pokrovsk. However, Russia has not advanced significantly toward Pokrovsk itself within the past week. Now, that's incredible to my mind, because the thing that they want is Pokrovsk. So fooling around on the edges of this is not going to get Russia where they're trying to go, and that could be a strategic blunder as winter starts to move closer. In Ukraine, Russian forces recently advanced north of Chasiv Yar and southeast of Pokrovsk and Voldahar direction southwest of Donetsk city. So they are moving slowly, taking little bits of ground, but they're not really pushing like they need to be if they're going to capture Pokrovsk, which is an excellent thing for Ukraine. We'll see how long they can hold out. Now, shifting gears, what remains of the Russian Black Sea Fleet has sailed from Novorossiysk under the pretext of Ocean 2024 naval exercises. Remember, I highlighted this the other day. These exercises are going to be in the Baltic, and it's going to be in the Pacific, and it's going to be in other places, but it's not going to be in the Black Sea for some interesting reason here. Russians have removed their aircraft as well, also naval exercises. Meanwhile, OSINT researchers attribute this withdrawal to relocating them from within the range of ATACMS missiles. I wonder if part of the reluctance to allow the Ukrainians to use ATACMS is to prevent them from hitting these ships. I don't know, and I don't want to get like all speculative or that kind of thing, but if you're Biden, in order to not create a greater escalation with Russia where, hey, you used your American missiles in order to hit these Russian ships and created this catastrophic damage, I wonder if that's what's going on. I don't know. This is purely my speculation, not me reporting news. I'm just adding that. The withdrawal of the ships from Novorossiysk port was captured by satellite image taken on Saturday at 11:37 a.m. local time. Believes that Russians fear that Kyiv will be authorized to use Storm Shadow missiles. It is not known where exactly the ships were sent, but since 2023, Russia has been building a naval base in Abkhazia, and since the beginning of 2024. Aircraft are also being moved out of the likely area of impact of Western missiles. Satellite imagery shows that aircraft are being relocated from airfields that are in the target zones of ATACMS missiles. Okay, so the ships are being moved out of range of ATACMS missiles. Aircraft are being moved out of the range of ATACMS missiles. So just the threat alone of being able to use these ATACMS missiles are having a significant effect. Incentives matter if they're believed, right? Okay. Imagine how fast this war could be over if this German Major General was Chancellor. Let's hear what he has to say. That's right. The offensive in Kursk has multiple reasons. The Ukrainians were primarily concerned with relieving the pressure in the Donbas region, to bring relief by forcing Russians to move troops to the Kursk area. A second reason was to establish a so-called buffer zone, that it is not possible to carry out military operations practically without interruption from the Kursk region into Kharkiv and Sumy oblasts. I think we've seen some pictures of what it looks like in Kharkiv, where the northern neighborhoods are still shelling most every day. A third reason was, of course, to have the kind of bargaining chip. Another reason was to counter the Russian propaganda of the special operation. For the first time in well over half a century, foreign troops are once again on Russian soil. And, of course, this should also have a psychological effect, both internally for Ukraine as an encouragement for the AFU, and as an encouragement for Ukrainian society, and externally as a signal to the supporting countries. Yes, we are capable of doing it. We will make it. We are counting on your continued support for success. Okay, so that tells you, like, he gets it. Somehow we just don't seem to understand that or aren't willing to face that. Meanwhile, we're always interested in seeing what Alaudinov has to say. He's the commander of the Chechen Special Forces. He loves the camera. He really does love the camera. Ukrainians, you can keep them. We don't need them for 100. Excuse me. I have a bit of a sore throat, so if I sound froggy, that's why. Ukrainians, you can keep them. We don't need them for 102 years. That's a very specific number. And in fact, don't call me at all. Alaudinov suggested that the AFU keep Kadyrov soldiers who voluntarily surrendered into Ukrainian captivity. Now, just from a leadership perspective, do you want to follow this guy if you're one of his soldiers when he says something like that? This is how the commander of the Special Forces, Akhmat, commented on the video with captured Kadyrov's soldiers who called their relatives. According to Alaudinov, surrendering is a disgrace for Chechen, which can only be washed away with blood. Now, I showed some of this yesterday. 103 Ukrainians were returned yesterday, 50 the day before. I think it was 51 the day before. And just it's always good to see these kind of reunions and the joy and expressions on their faces. Yesterday was also the European Resilience Initiative Center's fundraiser. They were trying to raise $50,000. So far, they'd raised $180,000 via PayPal within 24 hours and another $67,000 from a single anonymous donation. Overall, $254,000 for Ukraine, and you can still donate. Each donation double support for Ukraine's units, and yeah, it's a worthy cause. So Jake Bro was there, Anna from Ukraine, let's see, Jason J. Smart was there, Operator Starsky, and a number of others. Okay, I'll leave you with this. I'm no military expert, but this just seems like a really bad idea. What do you think? All right, my friends, thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes, the shares, the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.